Hello, welcome to Info Hub. In our headlines, government commits to recommendations of Prison Fire Commission. CHNPA starts its more than $700 million electrification program, and Explore Guyana 2018 magazine launched. Stay tuned for the details of these and more.
Do you know what the national budget is?
The national budget is a public record of the government's financial plans. It identifies financial goals of the government and the amount of money needed to achieve those goals during a 12-month period.
The national budget also tells the story of how the country's resources are being used and whether our decision makers are securing a good future for all citizens. It also reveals what the government sees as priority.
As citizens, you may or may not agree with those priorities, but understanding what government's decisions and plans are for the year ahead will allow you to ask questions and hold the government accountable, as is your duty. The budget is everyone's business. Get involved now.
A message from the Ministry of Finance.
And now for the details. Minister of Public Security Kamraj Ramjatan says the large number of prisoners on remand is costing the nation a fortune annually. Details from Delicia Haynes.
As you know, the current remand population of our prison facilities accounts for 35% of all inmates. And the cost of providing meals alone for the remand population is estimated approximately $150 million annually. That's just for food for our remand inmates. And there are several additional costs associated with incarceration of these pretrial detainees.
Minister Ramjatan stated the high costs alone should encourage the judiciary to capitalize on the opportunities to utilize alternatives of pretrial detention.
The current high rate of remand to prison population makes a strong case for stakeholders along the criminal justice chain to seek ways to eliminate inappropriate use of pretrial incarceration.
Minister Ramjatan highlighted these issues at the opening of a workshop to discuss the recommendations of the draft final report on a study of alternatives to incarceration for pretrial detainees at the Grand Coastal Hotel. The study was commissioned through the Citizen Security Strengthening Program of the Ministry of Public Security. For Info Hub, Delicia Haynes.
Government has committed to taking action on recommendations made by the Patterson Commission following the 2016 prison fire. Alexis Rodney has more.
Minister of Public Security Kamraj Ramjatan disclosed today that work has started on some of the recommendations coming out of the Commission of Inquiry, chaired by retired Justice Patterson.
We also have new features in the revision of the new Prison Act. We are dealing with the new Prison Act. Mr. Pollard has been helping me with that, for calling for the establishment and composition of an advisory council in the treatment of offenders as recommended by the Patterson Commission last year.
In addition, the minister said there is continued work to bring relief to overcrowded prisons and is pleased with the cooperation being received from stakeholders.
Government agencies have garnered a better understanding of how interconnected the practice of pretrial justice is and seem to be quite supportive already of the process to identify alternatives to pretrial detention and the implementation of the recommendations from the study.
Minister Ramjatan was addressing a workshop at the Grand Coastal Inn to discuss the draft final report on the study of alternatives to incarceration for pretrial detainees. The study was commissioned by the Inter-American Development Bank Citizen Security Strengthening Program and was conducted by Peter J. Perslov, SC. Alexis Rodney for Info Hub.
Alexis joins us again. This time she tells us about the Central Housing and Planning Authority's move to fulfill its promise to Guyanese as it begins its approximately $745 million electrification project in some 16 government-led communities across the country.
The Central Housing and Planning Authority last week commenced planting poles in the communities of Farm and Barnwell on the east bank of the Demerara and Hope Experiment Baltruck on the west coast of Berbice. CHNPA's electrical engineer Devendra Ramnarine explained today that most of the materials have arrived into the country. He projects that work in both the Farm and Barnwell communities could be completed by the end of this year. The electrical engineering team took Info Hub on a tour of the Barnwell and Farm communities, as well as the bonds where the materials are stored.
So far, our line materials are here, where the transformers and cables. Transformers are being stored at Fixed Depot, whereas the cables are being stored at Le Parc and Bon.
The schemes targeted under the CHNPA's electrification program are under Neeming in Region 2, Sealat and Luston Rost in Region 3, Hope Experiment and Belt Rock in Region 5, Kilcoy Chesney in Region 6, Bartica in Region 7, and Peters Hall, Farm, Covent Garden, Diamond, Eccles, Barnwell, Paradise, and then more in Region 4.
Work has been commenced in terms of pole planting. That's our first phase is the pole planting phase, and our second phase, which would be the stringing of the conductors. We expect to start that phase sometime soon next week, and work will continue with a planned date of achieving some, if not all, of those areas by the end of 2017, December.
Alexis Rodney for InfoHub.
We now hear of the Education Ministry's plans to develop its Special Education Needs Diagnostic and Assimilation Center in the new year. Here is Tiffany Rogers with the details.
What we will do in 2018 is to outfit that facility with the requisite equipment and amenities to ensure that persons could benefit from early diagnostic. We believe that if you are able to diagnose very early what the challenges are with persons or what, specifically they would need to be addressed, you give them a better chance of achieving their full potential.
Education Minister Nicolette Henry added that her ministry's proposed 2018 budget has allocated funds to develop a space in nursery schools specifically tailored to address children with special needs. This aims to provide those children with an integrated educational environment.
But what you do need to understand is what is the particular issue, address that issue, so that you can be fully integrated as far as possible into the mainstream of education. And so that requires linkages with other sectors.
While Minister Henry acknowledges that more needs to be done for special needs facilities, this initiative will have positive outcome for those who access and benefit from the services offered. For InfoHub, Tiffany Rogers.
And still ahead, stakeholders benefit from Diversity, Education and Inclusion Workshop, and Explore Guyana launches its 2018 magazine edition. Details after this.
Do you know what the national budget is?
The national budget is a public record of the government's financial plans. It identifies financial goals of the government and the amount of money needed to achieve those goals during a 12-month period.
The national budget also tells the story of how the country's resources are being used and whether our decision makers are securing a good future for all citizens. It also reveals what the government sees as priority.
As citizens, you may or may not agree with those priorities, but understanding what government's decisions and plans are for the year ahead will allow you to ask questions and hold the government accountable, as is your duty. The budget is everyone's business. Get involved now.
A message from the Ministry of Finance.
InfoHub continues with a report from Crystal Stull, who was at the Ministry of Social Cohesion's second level of interaction, Diversity, Education and Inclusion workshop with stakeholders of the Region 4 local government arms.
The workshop followed the Social Cohesion Ministry sensitization program to educate stakeholders of their role in promoting social cohesion in the country. Technical Officer Olive Gopal.
The Diversity Education Program, it goes deeper where it exposes to the participants the difficulties that we can encounter, particularly since Guyana is such a diverse country. The Diversity Education Training Program, it runs for 2 days, and coming at the end of, on the second day, the groups are now, the large group is now divided into smaller groups, and they undertake now planning for community development projects.
Gopal described the response as overwhelming since the program's implementation.
As you interact with people and they get to understand that how they can participate in this process, persons are embracing the idea of having a society where people can work together irrespective of their differences.
Attending the workshop were members of the Georgetown Municipality, several community policing groups, faith-based organizations, and non-governmental organizations. Crystal Stull for InfoHub.
The Education Ministry's PTA Town Hall meeting in Region 3 has been described as a successful program. one to be expanded. Delicia Haynes tells us more.
Presentations were made by Education and Social Protection Ministry officials at the Lenora Secondary School. They informed parents, teachers, and other stakeholders about their roles in the education system. According to National PTA Coordinator Nadia Hollingsworth, the exercise is likely to be expanded.
The town hall meetings will be ongoing. In some instances, we are going to go into communities. We are going to do many radio programs. We are going to be doing panel discussions in remote areas, and every community in this country will be seeing us because we know we have to tackle the root cause of the problem.
Chief Education Officer Marcel Hudson explained that the ministry is focusing on teachers' professional development, which will eventually translate into better performances.
We are big on professional development, and that's why we have these meetings. If we think in transformational leadership, if we're thinking about change and transformation, we have to speak about other things too. Not just money, we have to speak about behavior patterns, we have to speak about mindset, we have to speak about processes and all these things.
Some parents and teachers highlighted urgent issues which will be addressed by the ministry. They also lauded the initiative and expressed optimism about similar future engagements. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
And in our final story, the 2018 edition of the Explore Guyana magazine has been launched and 35,000 free copies will be distributed. The Explore Guyana magazine, the nation's official tourist guide, was showcased and launched on Wednesday evening at the British High Commissioner's residence. Publisher Lokesh Singh explained that 35,000 copies of the magazine will be available for free distribution in and out of the country. This move, he said, is part of the effort to target prospective tourists.
We've seen this magazine grow over the years, and I am pleased to share with you as well that I believe tonight's edition is going to be the largest edition we have published in the history of the magazine. We're going to deliver to you tonight a magazine of 112 pages. It tells you that the tourist industry is growing. Our advertising support has been constant.
The Tourism and Hospitality Association of Guyana's president, Andrea De Caries, gives some insights into this year's edition.
Our guests want to become immersed in Guyana. This cultural tourism is the new boom, and they want to know everything there is to know. So what we have done is we have, this year, for the first time, divided the magazine by month. So that if you are here in November, as an example, you can open up to November and you can see all of the activities, hi Kitty, all of the activities that are going on during the month of November.
Minister of Business with Responsibility for Tourism, Dominic Gaskin, endorsed the publication and emphasized its importance to the local tourism drive.
Maybe it's not deliberate, but we've certainly not exposed ourselves enough. And this is why we remain undiscovered. But with magazines such as Explore Guyana, we can be discovered by readers from all over the world. Guyana can become a leading green destination by the year 2025.
The cover of the magazine features Prince Harry and Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Sidney Alicock at Kaichor Falls. Apart from featuring the local tourist destinations and interesting stories, there is an article written by the British High Commissioner Gregory Quinn on Prince Harry's visit to Guyana. Local video producer Alex Arjun and photographer Michael Lamb are also featured. The winners of TAG's 2017 Children's Essay Competition were also rewarded during the ceremony. The magazine is also available online. Thanks for watching. Remember to connect with us 24/7 on our website and social media. Goodbye.